Wow, there's some names I haven't seen here in a while. Nice to see you guys. Yeah, James, Eric, haven't seen you in a long time. Aiden, good seeing you. Glad you guys can all make it. I am, in fact, up in Washington now. It's actually, it's just cloudy, not bad. So having a good, I moved out of San Diego and got up to a place that was a little quieter. And for those of you who are familiar with the area, it's I'm across the peninsula or across the water from Seattle on the peninsula there. So I've been watching the weather, Steve. Yeah, about all the crazy rain you guys are getting down there. So I hope everyone is safe who's in the path of those atmospheric rivers. Apparently, it looks like there's going to be a couple of weeks of a lot of that. So hopefully everybody is safe. All right, so there's a fair amount of things to go over. I want to talk, I'll walk through everything, but thank you all first for coming and for your attention and your time. I know you're all very busy, so I'll try to be as efficient as possible to talk about some of the new things that we've done and review some of the strategies that we have been working on for our own platform and for what we can do for you. I'm looking forward to sharing some of those things with you. And of course, if you have questions, feel free to use the Q&A. So yeah, anything you can do or anything that comes to mind, I'm happy to answer questions about. So, all right. Lydia, good to see you. Hopefully you're in San Francisco, so hopefully you're staying safe there. Daniel from Europe, good to see you. All right, so that's awesome. Great to see everybody here. So, all right. So I'll get started here. Like I said, if you have questions, just put them in the Q&A, and I'm happy to go into any more detail as you know, we talk about anything. It's an open forum, and I'm happy that I just appreciate all of you guys being here. So so today we'll talk about some of the technology improvements that we've made. A lot of these have been driven by you, by clients like you, or users that have said, I really would love to be able to do X. And there's always, our to-do list is always a mile long. We have I think now we're up to 257 separate items on our to-do list, and I think we did a good number this year of new functions and features. So of course I had to pick out the ones, so otherwise we'd be here forever and ever. So I picked out the most significant ones. We'll talk a little bit about strategies, tactics, best practices, and the future of the company and some of the things that we're doing. So this URL is a big one. For those of you who aren't aware, this is the wiki that we use for keeping track of all the new things that get released. So if you want to be in the know of as soon as things get added, you'll be able to, as long as you follow this link, you can put a Google alert on it, and you'll see when new things come out. So generally speaking, when we launch something new, we'll put something there. If it's a big one, we'll roll it out slowly. But for minor, smaller things, usually it's you can just see things come out there, and it's kind of nice to see get the first dibs on that information. So a little bit of some stats here. Total number of accounts. This was up. I want to say it's up about 2%. The total number of accounts, total number of contacts on the system, total number of emails sent. So so that's just comparing year over year. So kind of cool. See a little bit of growth. We released 141 different product upgrades. So of course, like I said, I tried to pick out the ones that were most impactful for today's webinar. So but of course, go to that URL and you'll be able to see all of them in all their detail. And we've kept a log there for the last, I think, 10 years. There's thousands of items on there. So if you really want to get a lot of detail, you can do that. All right, so we'll talk first about some of the things that we've done with calling. My dog is very interested in joining the webinar. So call transcription. So this is something that I think is something that everyone should use. And there is an additional cost associated with it. It's not that much, but if you rely on phone calls heavily, having transcription and summarizing those transcriptions is really something that's going to save you a lot of time. The transcription, obviously, that comes automatically with your phone integration. So when you're, use the CRM, and it'll call you, and it'll call your contact there and make the bridge, and then record both channels, and then you'll get the conversation automatically attached to the CRM, which is great. The problem is if you have a long call, and there's a lot of conversation going back and forth, sometimes it can be difficult to just summarize really quickly what that call was about. And so we added this function through this integration with another third-party provider that allows us to take all of those conversations and summarize them in a paragraph form. So rather than having to read through all of the conversation, you get the transcription done, and it saves you a ton of time. It's about 25 cents, I think, for a call to do that. But you figure out the value of your time, especially if you rely heavily on using those call notes and call logs to keep track of what's happening in your business. Having that transcription summary is going to save you and your people a lot of time. So that 25 cents pays for itself, because you figure out the value of somebody's time and how long it takes for them to scan through a whole conversation. It's about creating efficiency for you and your people. So in settings account, you can go and change that here. So you can change that from being longer form or more compact. For our account, we keep it on the longest form, which seems to be fine for us. And so that's one thing. There is also, with that transcription now, you can also set that to be in English or Spanish. So unfortunately, we only support just those two languages, but those are, and I believe that the summaries are only in English. So sort of a limitation of the technology that we have, but I have a feeling most of you probably do most of your conversations in English. So anyway, so that's a great thing to add to do for if you rely heavily on the CRM for those calls. We made a lot of changes to invoices over the last, actually this has mostly been over the last 3 months, mainly driven by one of our clients that needed to have all these new features added to them. So here you can see some of the things you can do. You can put types of invoices. You can have status levels for different invoices. You can set shipping methods for invoices now. You can have custom CSS so that when they render, you can have it look different than how the default invoice that we have for you. We also allow tracking of external IDs. So if that allows you to keep the two systems in parallel. So if you have, say, an invoice that you're synchronizing with another system. In this case, for our client, we were doing the synchronization with an ERP called Fishbowl. And so we needed to be able to allow their API connections to keep track of the Fishbowl sales order and link it to an invoice ID on our side. So they didn't really care what the invoice ID was on our side, because their ERP is the database of record when it comes to the actual sales order that they're fulfilling. So because the ERP in this case is the master for that, we show the external ID when you're looking at the contact record in the CRM. So that gives you a little more flexibility, and you can turn that on and off, as you can see there in the quote and invoice settings. So so those are all new features associated with invoices. We set those up really to track more of on the ERP level of the kinds of things that they have to keep track of for their sales process. And so bringing that over directly in the CRM means their sales people can then work within the CRM, and their fulfillment people can work within the ERP, and their accounting people can work within the ERP, and that allows them to work in parallel without conflict between the two systems. So that was a much needed thing for them. And it's nice, I think, just as a business owner to be able to categorize and catalog what's happening with your quotes and invoices a little bit better. The last bit, the last little bullet down there, you can set invoices now to recur annually. So that was I think we had it set for monthly and quarterly before, and now you can set them to recur annually. The booking calendar went through a few changes as well. Those of you who use this for appointment setting, I know we use it for appointment setting for our team, and you can see there's an example there of what it looks like. We added a few things that you can do. One of the things that we did this to save people time is that if someone sets up a booking appointment and they need to cancel or reschedule, then there's a link that they can use to do that. So that takes some of the legwork, the day-to-day stuff, so they don't have to call or email to cancel or whatever. So they can do that straight from the email they received. So that makes that a little bit easier for them. You can also customize the dialogue title. So when you're on the calendar, when you're looking at like what you see here, if you click on this, it'll pop up a dialogue in front of this. And you can customize what that title says at the top of the dialogue. And then you can also customize the action button. Another thing that we added was disallowing concurrent appointments. So that's another setting here. It's slightly above this in the calendar settings. But it allows you to say, if you have a room, for example, so say you have like a series of rooms and you want people to be able to request a meeting in a room, you can allow it to check the location of the appointment and not allow someone else to book that room at the same time, that physical location. So basically it looks at locations and uses the location as a way to deduplicate. So that's an option that you can set. So that really only works for people that have actual physical appointments, because we do things, with online meetings. It's not really, there's only one person's going to meet with Matt at one time, or Diana. So that allows you to use the location to do that. And then the other bit was the option for you can now schedule out. We had it set for every 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, and 60 minutes, I believe. And so someone requested spacing for appointments every 45 minutes. I think they wanted to work for 30 and then have like a 15-minute gap and work that way. So you can do that now. Steve, that's a good question. Does it integrate with Outlook? Yes, it does. It's all done through, so Outlook and actually every calendar program, Google Calendar, uses the iCal standard. And what that does is that says that if you have a publishable URL that we can read, then we can take that and we can use that and dedupe against that. So for example, here, say, so this I think this is a demo. So say this is Matt's calendar, and he had a dentist appointment suddenly that came up. I don't know who has emergency dentist appointments, but he couldn't say, and that had to be at 1 o'clock or 1:30. And so he couldn't do that. So he could go into his calendar and say, I have a dentist appointment here. And so it would automatically dedupe and remove this slot because it was reading from his, and we use Google Calendar, but it could, any calendaring program can do this. And the two most common are, of course, Outlook and Google, but that published iCal file is then read by us. And so once you add it in there, there's a little bit of lag because it takes a while. Once you add it, then they have to update the URL, and then they have to let us know, like, hey, by the way, here's a new URL. Or an update to the schedule, and then we'll read that. And I think with Google and Outlook, I think they update it. It probably depends on how fast it is, but I think it's usually within a few minutes. And it goes the other way. So if you want to be able to read your appointments in from your, say you're on Outlook or Google Calendar, and you want to read in your booked appointments and have those show up in that calendar, then you can do that as well. So it does synchronize in both directions. just like our other calendar does. So when you use our calendar for other types of events, those synchronizations are always two-way. So yeah, so Steve, your question about if you're using Acuity, yes, it does. There are other Calendly is another one. There are other ones out there. And I believe that there are synchronizations you can do through Zapier with those. The nice thing is with this, if you use our built-in calendar, you don't have to use a third party, and all the data is automatically synced in. So you automatically have access to everything you need about everyone that you're connecting with. That data automatically goes in the CRM. And so that automation really makes things a lot easier. So, and it's free. It's built into your Green Rope account. Exactly. So why not use it? Speaking of calendars, so you may or may not have noticed this, but when you're working in the calendar, there's a new little filter icon that we put up there. This is probably 6 or 7 months ago, this little filter icon that you can type in there, and it'll automatically filter out the things that are happening on your calendar. So, at the bottom of the main calendar, there are the little check boxes of things you can check to show CRM activities, show email broadcasts, show all these different things. That works on all of them. So say you have a calendar that's got a bunch of stuff, but all of a sudden you need to find one particular thing, and maybe it's the name of something from that group, or maybe it's something about the type of event it is, or whatever. You can just type into this filter, and in real time, as you type, it will start hiding things that don't match that string. So it's just a convenient way to isolate some of the things that you're looking at on the calendar. So we did a lot of things with workflows too. One was with document signing that's integrated. As you know, we have a document signing function that's built into the system. And so when you do electronic document signing, it's nice to have that built right into the workflows. So which means you can tie them with journeys, and there's a lot of things you can do looking for if the document is signed by this date, then do this, whatever. What we added was the ability to, when you send a document for signature, you can put in the number of days until that signing deadline is set. So, say if you have a process where you're going to send someone a contract at a certain point in the sales process, then they're going to have a certain number of days until they sign it. Then you can set that number there. And then you can also have a workflow that gets activated if they have not signed it when that date shows up. So it checks to see when's the deadline. We've hit this deadline, and they haven't signed it yet. So let's activate a workflow. So, maybe an alert to the salesperson, or a reminder that says, hey, you haven't signed this document that you were supposed to sign. So, and automating all of that, of course, takes the legwork out of you having to watch over that. We also have it so that if you activate a workflow with an opportunity, then you can delay you can delay it a certain number of business or calendar days. Previously, it was only business days. And then we also have alerts now that are set with workflow activation. So when the workflow gets activated, you can have an alert that sends an email, and then you can also have a text message, and you can have that alert include the information, the placeholder like you see there. So you can say, like, this workflow was just activated for first name, last name placeholder. So you can say in the alert text something like, hey, this alert or this workflow just got activated for Joe Smith, and something else relevant about it if you wanted to do that. So it allows you to be a little more specific or helpful with that. So it might be that your users, your salespeople may not remember what the XYZ workflow is, and they may not know what to do with that information. So if you have a workflow alert that sends a text message that can include these kinds of information about who the person is being activated for, and then also maybe more instructions like this means that this, the document hasn't been signed, so follow up with them right away, something like that. So, and then of course the workflow can create activities and all those other things, but the alert now can be personalized. So we did a couple things with shared access. And the biggest one, and probably the most significant to how everyone is going to be able to operate, is you now have the freedom to create shared access rights for people, and you don't have to have your users in the group. So that's a huge change and improvement, I think. We've had a lot of people that have asked for that over the last couple of years, and we finally were able to make that happen. So the way it works is very simple. You have a users group, which is just a group of users in your account. So generally, these are users. These are all the people that will have shared access rights. And then all you got to do is, then once someone's in that group, you can see them in the shared access rights assignments, and that's it. That's all you got to do. So that just means that as long as someone's in that users group, they can have access to it. So, and I thank you for the people that have helped with the design of that. And I'm glad we've gotten such good feedback from the people that have. So I've talked to, let's see, I know Chase, you and your dad were involved in that. So, and Tom, there you are. I just want to make sure you saw you both there. So that's sort of a nice thing for easier account management. And thank you, Daniel. I know you like that too. So appreciate that. The second piece here, the number of, so this number, basically what this is saying is, by permission, you can see the number of people and the number of groups that are set up. So you can click on this, and what it'll do is, this is at the bottom of the left column in shared access. It allows you to see everyone who has group setup permissions or new group permissions by group. So this is saying that there are 512 people groups that have group setup. So that means if you take the number of people that have group setup permissions and the number of groups they have permission to, you can see that. So it's sort of a large scale, very high level view of how many people and how many groups how many people are utilizing all these different permissions. So, and that's a little bit more of like a high level management kind of a thing. So this is in Contacts Tools Map, kind of a cool integration that we have with Google Maps. So it allows you to see the people in red and the businesses in green. The letter there represents the first letter of the company name. And so now you can also, as you hover over, you can see where they are, and now you can click, and then it'll bring up the contact details or the company details from there. So this is actually a sort of a scatter map of our direct clients. So kind of neat. So, but now they are both clickable, and you can pull them up right from that. We did a lot of things on opportunities. And I have to say a big thank you for Daniel and his team for helping to translate the needs of what the clients needed and coordinating with them and all the testing and everything else. There was a lot that went into all this functionality. So one big thing is keeping track of reasons why you won or lost an opportunity. So this is done. So this is in the settings opportunities area, where you can go in and you can enter your reason for winning or losing. So these are just a couple of win reasons, but you can have as many as you like. And then the letters here represent on the dashboard, you can have just a single letter because those little widgets are small. So so that's what that's for. So you can customize what you want that single letter. I think it's either 1 or 2 letters that you can put here as the abbreviation for those opportunities on the dashboard. Because of A, B, or C, and then it keeps track of that. And so you can then track what's the value, the number, how much are we losing out on by losing these opportunities because of this reason? How important is it that we won for this? And so this is actual live data here from the last year for our reseller sales. So we can see what was the main reason why people chose us, because they liked the features and the UI UX. Not to say the other two aren't important, but these are the ones that the client specified to us as this is why we made the decision to go work with Green Road. So those are very important for us. Being able to see that, and then you can also isolate by product. And so you can say, so say I'm selling product X, of all the opportunities that involve product X, why did we win and why did we lose? So being able to isolate those also gives you an idea of how good or bad are we doing at selling a particular product. So that, I think that really helps a lot from especially from a sales management perspective. What are you strong on and what do you need to focus your energy on? The last bit here, so opportunities have custom fields associated with them. You can have as many as you want. We've got a lot of different types. We are in the process of building out the API so that we support opportunity fields. That's coming soon. But the inside opportunity settings, you can drag and drop this around. So you can now order these around. And of course, they can be available, the fields can be available only to specific phase paths if you like. So you can make them available to all if you want, but being able to say that, well, if we sell a particular product, so the phase paths allow you to sell different products or services since those will be sold differently. You may want to track different information when you're selling a particular product or service. So that's down one particular phase path. So that gives you a little bit more flexibility in terms of what fields you show, and now you can drag and drop and move them around so that they're in the right order that you want to see them in. So there are a couple of charts that we have added to, or a couple of things we've done in the reports. You can now see a success rate chart, so you can see of the opportunities over a particular time. And of course, these can all be modified by the filters. So you can say, I only want to look at one particular salesperson, or I only want to look at anything involved with a particular product, but it gives you some visual representation of, and we do it with the number and the value. So you can see that as well. That's a chart there in the context reports opportunities. And then you have more filters. So this is showing a couple of filters down here I wanted to highlight. One is fulfillment dates between. So fulfillment dates for opportunities really are like when you're selling something, if it's more than just like just a quick sale, a fulfillment date would be, and this was originally written for something happened there with Zoom. But so it's the ability for you to sell, to bound something between two dates. So in this case, you can see an example that we have here where the date the contract signed is between these two particular dates. So it gives you a little more flexibility too in being very specific with things like the date ranges, and then more than one filter at one time, and you can make it either an and or an or here. So so it gives you a little more granularity in how you want to do your reporting and looking at your opportunities in your sales process. We also, speaking of granularity, we added more granularity to the to-do list. So the to-do list it's a widget, and it's also in the contacts area. There's the to-do list is one of the tabs, and it's for that user, all the upcoming CRM activities that are scheduled for them. So these are outstanding. So you can see how it's distributed now. Previously, I think it was just 1, 2, or 3 days, or 3 or more on either side. And we got some good feedback that people wanted to see a little bit more granularity here, out to 5 days, and then broken apart by 5 to 30, 31 to 60, and then over 60. So it kind of gives you an idea. This is actually a snapshot of Matt's activities to do. You can see he's busy, but these are all the things that he has to do. And so it kind of helps him get an idea of what his workload looks like coming up. And so I think having that additional granularity helps with just having a better understanding of what your schedule's looking like coming up. This was a thing that we added. I gotta go drink of water. I'm not used to talking so much. So we added this as just a nice little tool that you can use for your website. What it is just a little, it's a little widget here. You can see at the bottom down here what it looks like. Speaking of which, we're about to launch a brand new website. So that's going to come out. It's going to be launched either later today or tomorrow. When you get to the Green Rope website, it's been a long time in the making. And for those of you who know Ryan, I think you'll see it. You'll be really impressed. It's pretty awesome. He's done a great job. But it's not quite ready yet. So we wanted to get it done a little bit earlier, but there's just 200 pages. It's a lot. So over 200 pages. So it's been a lot of work by a lot of people to get that out. So, but I think you'll be really happy once you see it. In any case, one of the things that we added was this little widget thing down here. And it's very straightforward. Basically what it says is you're either going to accept it or you can link to the privacy policy. In any case, it's needed for GDPR compliance so that people understand that you're tracking them and that you're and to provide them direct access to the privacy to your privacy policy. We do have examples of privacy policies that you can use. That's all available here. This is in the website tracking area. And you can customize it too. You can customize colors and all that stuff. But it's very, as you put it on every page on your website. If you use Green Rope for your website, that's super easy. You just put it right into the footer or into the HTML on every page. And then if you're using something like WordPress, it's very easy to take something and put it on every page of your website. So you'll want to do that. What it does is once you land on the website, it stores a session, a long-term session cookie, which then keeps track of the fact that whoever you are, that you've accepted this, and it will remember that for a long time. And so it'll, it's one of those things that you should have on your site anyway, no matter what, because you've got California's CCPA with the Consumer Privacy Act, California Consumer Privacy Act, and of course GDPR, which gets lots of press. So this is a good way to cover yourself to make sure that you have at least this amount. Now, of course, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not going to tell you that this is 100% sufficient and that now makes you completely immune to any legal anything. But this does, as far as sufficiency for informing clients that are visiting your website, this is a great tool for you to use. And it's very important for this next thing I'm going to show you, which is the lead finder. So, and Madeline, appreciate you saying that. You're right. Websites can take time, a long time. So the lead finder is a new function, and I can't say enough how great this thing is, but you got to be careful with it, because what it does is it uses data, and you have to have the GDPR thing in place, because it's very important that people understand that you're gathering information about them when they visit your website. So having that is an absolute must. What you need, once you put that on your site, then the lead finder will read who the visitor is and will be able to identify them based on data appending services. So usually they use device IDs, a combination of cookies, sessions, whatever, to identify who that person is. And what we can do is take that information and automatically put it in your website. So that means that someone visits your website, they say they accept the cookies, and then you're able to gather that information and pull that. And basically what it does is it just takes everything that we can find from this B2C lead identifier from our data provider and will automatically drop it into the CRM for you. So that means you get to see who's on your website, even if they're not in your CRM. Now, of course, this is why you have to be very careful about it, because just because someone's visited your website does not mean that they have implied permission for you to contact them. What it does is it opens the door for you to do things like retargeting and identifying who they are for targeting for, say, LinkedIn or social media advertising, and or having out of band follow-ups. So if you want to, say, schedule a support person or a salesperson or a sales assistant to reach out and maybe send an email from their Gmail, or to call them some other out of band way, so that you're not doing mass unsolicited email to people that are visiting your website. There's nuance that goes with this. So you want to be very careful. You don't want to email someone right away as soon as they're on your website, because that could freak them out. So, but as a tool for gathering leads, this is a very powerful one. So we have the B2C version and we have a B2B version. The B2C version is going to find people's like their Hotmail, their Gmail, their MSN, the things that they use for buying. The B2B version is through a different partner of ours, who will take that information, and you'll get it. It works totally differently. So you put their tracking on in the B2B one, you put their tracking on their website, on your website, and then it will automatically find those people, and then it will append their LinkedIn profile ID, their business email address. So if you're selling to businesses, the B2C probably won't be that helpful for you. But if you're selling to businesses, the B2B will be very helpful for you. And I believe it's about $1 per lead. So I think the B2B ones are more expensive, because you're getting a business address and the appended information about their social, like their LinkedIn. So that I think those are closer to 2, but you work directly with our vendor for that. So that's Modern Postcard. They will, you'll work directly with them to get that on there. But I would definitely recommend, if you're looking at growing your business and finding leads, both of these lead finder tools are very powerful. So if you sell to consumers, I would definitely do that. It's very easy to sign up, to set it up. You put in your domain, you get your script, you put your script on your website, and then you take it from there. All right, so Susan, we use Square for our winery, for in-person sales and on our website. I want to have sales and inventory control through Green Rope and add customers to our mailing list. Is there a way to do that? So yes. So the inventory control, that might be a little challenging. We do have inventory control on our storefront. So if you sell through our website, we will handle the inventory control for you. The not knowing how you're doing your own inventory control on your side, if you had your own inventory control, synchronizing the two might be a little challenging. You could do it with an API. Or if you're using Shopify, with our integration with that, we could make that work. But if you're doing, if you want to do inventory control on our side, you could do that. And you could do online sales and everything. Although with Square, you've got the swiper, which we don't have. So we probably should talk to Jensine or someone about how that would work. With Square though, I think I'm pretty sure they're on Zapier. So you could do something on Zapier that would activate a workflow that could add them to your mailing list, and keep track of the sales with the conversion and everything else. But as far as, and with the inventory control, our inventory control is done through our own storefront. So that might be a little bit tricky to connect those dots, but if you want to reach out to Jensine, I'm sure we'll talk through how we can help you there. Lydia, will other GDPR scripts be recognized, or does it have to be a Green Rope GDPR widget? It can be anyone. It really doesn't have to do, you don't really need to use ours. We provided that as a tool for everyone to be able to use it. If you wanted to use if you want to use your own or someone else's, you absolutely can do that. The important thing is that people visiting your website know that you are gathering information about them, and what are you gathering and how are you going to use it. That's really what GDPR and CCPA are about. They want to make sure that as a consumer, if I go to a website and someone knows that I'm there, what are they gathering about me and what are they going to do with that information? So as long as you have that in black and white on your privacy policy, then that's what they're really looking for GDPR and CCPA. Madeline, yes, it is a great, geo-targeting with ads is a good way to do it. So, once you gather this information, part of the information that you'll get will be their actual physical location. You'll get a lot of information about them. You'll get everything that the data appending service has. So everything from their interests, their income, home ownership, car ownership, all kinds of different things that you'll gather from them. And so we try to grab all of that and pull that into the system. Steve, what if the website visitor is already in your database? Then it's not charged. So we check first. If you already have that contact in the CRM, you'll know that you'll get the alert that they came, but you're not going to be charged for it. Limitations, John. What types of limitations are there for the B2B lead finder usage regarding follow-up? So that's a really good question. So when you're talking about following up with business contacts and you're selling B2B, there's a little bit of a different sort of expectation. So, if I'm on a website and you're selling me something that's useful for my business, and I go there and then you send an email to me about your products and services, that again, you want to be very careful. You don't want to freak people out, right? So the limitations really come down to legally. That's why you have to have the GDPR widget on there that says you can actually gather that information, or that you will gather that information. You want to be very careful with sending email. You don't want to spam them, because even though it's legally sufficient through CAN-SPAM to send someone an email that they can opt out of, the challenge that you run into with that is that you may have someone that says, hey, I never asked to get emailed by this company. So, and that really bothers me that I was emailed without, unsolicited from this company. You may end up getting more of those as a result. You may not. This is sort of the gray area, right? You may not get complaints, but you want to be very careful about that. So, which is why I recommend with the B2B, if you're selling, especially if you're selling higher value items, have your salesperson connect with them on LinkedIn and send them a message, or from their inbox, from their Outlook, or from Gmail. Go in there and send them a quick message and say, or a phone call, something out of band, so that it's not an automated thing that, or something that at least looks automated. Now, if you were going to do something that is more carefully crafted, in other words, like if you did a journey with, did they open it? And if they didn't, then just sort of, let it go. You want to be very careful, because, and of course, everything that's sent out of our system has an unsubscribe link on it that they can click to unsubscribe with. So, you just want to be very careful about how that whole thing works. So I hope that answered your question. Lydia, yeah, inventory control, you could use custom objects for that. The integration with a store purchase might be a little challenging, though, because our workflows don't work with custom objects. So that's where things get a little bit tricky. John, how about chat pop-up regarding the specific page they looked at? Oh, you mean like an in-browser notification when someone visits your website? I think that's what you're driving at there. Maybe. Because I think we do have some in browser. When you're logged in, you'll get a browser notification on that one. Yeah, so we do have some of those things in place. That's actually one of the things I've been meaning to look into, to double check to make sure that's all working properly, because it should do that for some things, but for visiting a website, you'd want to be careful, because if you got a browser notification every time someone in your CRM was visiting your website, that might be a lot of browser notifications. I think that's why we don't have that set up for that quite yet. Because you could very quickly get inundated with like, Joe's on this page, Joe's on that page, then Mary's on that page, then just like your browser just be going off like crazy. So I think that was our thinking why we don't have that quite yet. So yeah. Yeah, Madeline, I think he was meaning like a browser notification. The live chat, if you integrate with Olark, that will definitely show you the page they were on, and if they bounce to different pages while they're opening a chat with you. So I would recommend our Olark integration works great. We're big fans of Olark. We use it for the live chat. And those of you who have worked with our support team have probably been on Olark and seen it, but the integration is really easy. It just, you get the integration and bam, it just sends the lead information right into the CRM automatically. All right. So we have a new user field type. And so we can thank Lyle for this. Lyle's our CTO. He added this new decimal type. So previously, user fields had to be either integer text fields was the closest thing you could get to it. So now we have a decimal field, which is useful for lead scoring. So for those of you who do this, I mean, it's useful for storing any kind of numerical data, but especially for lead scoring. If you go to the lead scoring page under automation, you can go and set it so that you can do scores automatically added to the user fields. So someone's demographic and their activity lead score can automatically be put into a user field for that contact, which then makes it kind of easy, because then if you want to, there's a little bit of lag on it, but because we rerun it every few hours, or if you want to do it right away, you can hit the run right away. But basically what it does is it'll grab it'll put it in the user field, and then you can use that for any number of different things. You can set up the triggers. You see an example. So, if you have a lead score of someone that say their activity lead score is less than 100 and then it crosses over 100, if you want to get an alert that says, hey, someone's really active right now, then you can do that. Of course, we have the hot lead scoring automation as well for that, but this is just another way you can do that. So this allows you to put the activity and the demographic user field score as a decimal into the lead scoring area. This is in the SMS area, the call SMS MMS voice. So this allows you now, this chart is clickable. So you can see all of your in and outbound calls and texts and audio messages, and you can then click to see who. So kind of nice. So it's everything's in one place, and then you can see who. So these are total summaries and everything. So kind of neat. Sign up forms. We did some changes here. You can now show or hide your fields. So you've probably seen it before where the form is just a single box, and you can have a placeholder inside of it. So it can be, if you want to hide your field labels, like say, for example, you had email, the field label would be the word email, maybe with a colon, and then like the field there. What you can do is you can now hide the field labels so that word email and the colon are totally gone, and all you have is the white box, and then you can set the placeholder text inside of that. So you can have, here's an example that you see down here where it says enter your email now. You can have that. If you hide the field labels, you could just have it say enter your email now with a button next to it. So it's a very compact way of presenting that information, as opposed to email colon and then an empty box and then the button next to it. So again, it depends on what you really want for your design, but being able to hide the field labels gives you a little bit more flexibility in that. And then you can see here, you can set a minimum length for your user fields when you're gathering information from a user field. You can say, well, I know that they're going to have to type at least 5 characters or at least 10 characters. I need a whole narrative, whatever. Then you can set that length there. And then finally, the Easy Builder itself. We've made some changes to make the drag drop functionality a lot better in the sign up form builder. And then you can also set custom CSS for that form. So that was a new thing too. So if you want to do more than just what the Easy Builder can do and you want to add your own CSS, then you can do that. Ticketing, we did some changes here. One is there are custom fields for tickets now, so you can have as many as you like. And then you can do scoring for those. So you can say, like, here's an example. So we actually use our own ticketing system for organizing our to-do list. So this allows us to, this allows us to create as many different fields and then say, okay, well, what is the impact on user experience? So if it's small, and so we kind of do this like golf. So lower scores are better. So if it's or I should say more likely to be done. So we look at impact on UX. If it's significant, it gets 1 point. If it's minute, it's 4. Number of users benefiting. If it's minuscule, like 1 or 2 versus everyone, and of course, if staff wants it, then they get the super stamp of approval. But that allows them to set scores for our to-do list. So this is a sort of a nice thing. And so you can see down here, we can order by score. And this is an example of one here. And then we also made it so that each of these can now have these little carrots that allow you to filter or to sort by any of those columns. And then the last column, the updates column, now you can click on that and that will sort by when that was last updated. So that gives you a little more, if you want to see the rank order of the last time someone actually touched a ticket or worked on a ticket, then you can look there. We increased the number of images. It used to be 3, so now it's 10 images per ticket update. And then every time you see that ticket, whether it's an email or in the system, if it's an image, you can click to view it in full size. So that's all that's there. So Lydia, can we get CSS code added to create? You can already create a horizontal sign-up form. So you can do that in the website, in the Easy Builder. You can drag I think it's the label width. You can do all the way to the right or all the way to the left, and it'll float left or float right. You'll see the text change when you drag all the way to one side or the other. So you shouldn't need additional CSS to make a pure horizontal form. So you'll have to kind of play around with that a little bit, but that should be doable just without needing any extra CSS. And Daniel, yes, I'll get you a copy. Everyone will get a copy with the email that gets sent out with this. I think Alessandra or Melissa will send that out to you guys. So you'll get a copy of that. Yes, Lydia, I thought there was a help article about that, but about the horizontal form with the Easy Builder. But if there isn't, coordinate with support and fill out a ticket and have them add that help bubble, because it's pretty straightforward. We made a couple minor things with surveys. One was that we created a new design. So one is a squared off design, and we added now rounded designs. So that's a new design for surveys. And we also shrunk the drop shadow on this rounded design. And then we also have a notify area here. So if you want to be notified by email whenever somebody fills out a survey, then you can do that. And the surveys are great because they track all the information about that you want to gather from someone. It automatically goes in the CRM. We've got all the reporting. You've got scoring that goes with surveys, and then you can do automation like workflows and stuff that go depending on what the answer is, or depending on their scores and everything. So you've got a lot of power built into the surveys. Having a few more design options is kind of nice too. So, and of course you can have a custom design if you like. But there are now 8 total designs that all look pretty good. So those are the major things I wanted to touch on, things that we had done over the course of this last year. There are some strategies that I like to talk about. One is make sure that from a strategic perspective, it's always very important to take a step back. A lot of times we as business owners kind of get wrapped in the weeds in the day-to-day of everything. It's important to model the customer journey and take a little bit of time to, whether it's today or on a weekend or in an evening or whatever, just to sit back, and whether you use JourneyFlow, which is our free app, if you go to journeyflow.com, or even if you're in front of a whiteboard or in front of a, put some sticky notes on a wall, whatever, have a model of how you see your clients move your customer journey, and think about what that process is like. Think about, are there ways that we can improve the way we do business through automation, or are we losing information? Do we need more information to better understand where someone is in a particular customer or buyer's journey, to know whether or not we should approach them a certain way or not? So if someone's not sure if they want to buy something, then what do you treat them differently? And then if you need to treat them differently, what do you need to know about them to be able to treat them differently? Do you need to have more demographic information? Do you need to know their website history, their forms, or whatever? Do you need to send them a survey? Any of those things. And so take the time to model your customer journey so that you can have a better understanding of your own business processes and how to apply those through your CRM. Another one, account-based marketing. This has been a big thing for a long time, using your companies as a way to create accounts. And of course, you can label in the account settings area, you can label companies to be whatever you want. So say, for example, we've got one client that they don't work with companies, they call them families. So because they work directly with people. So you can rename them anything. And while you're there, actually, there is now the ability to rename what you call contacts, groups, and opportunities. We've got a partner of ours that needed to be able to rename those things. And so you can rename all of them. There is a little challenge with that. If you do change that, our translation engine doesn't know it has no idea what you're going to put in there. So you're going to break a lot of the translation. So if you're doing something, if you're trying to use the system in different languages and then you change what those words are, it'll mess with the translation. But it gives you a little bit of flexibility if you know you're always going to be working in English and you want to rename your groups to be something else. Then you can do that. The shameless self-promotion here, where the CRM for Dummies, it's now been it's hard to imagine, it's been almost 6 years since I wrote that thing. Still very relevant, but it is available on Amazon. I think I have a couple copies in my house still. But you can get on Amazon. I think it's 15, 20 bucks, something like that. And then the last bit there, I hope all of you do this. Make sure you set up 2FA on your CRM. I cannot stress how important security is in the modern era. Everyone wants to get your data. And if your email and password have been hacked, that not having 2FA opens up your company to risk. So I would strongly suggest for everyone that you set up 2FA. It's very easy to do. All you have to do is get a number from that SMS page. It's $1.50 a month. Every text message costs you a penny. So, for basically for $1.60, maybe $1.70 a month, you're providing a layer of security that will be very helpful for you and your business. So I really strongly suggest that you do that. So those are just some reminders that I wanted to share. The other is our certification program. For those of you who have not gone through it, highly recommend that you do. And to do that, just reach out to Melissa and she'll send you a link so you can go through it. I think a lot of you on this call, I recognize your names and everything. So I know many of you have been through it, but if you have not, I strongly recommend taking the time to go through it. It'll really open up your mind about how a lot of the different features and functions work together. So, and it's a very well structured, it's a great program. I think technically, if you were to burn through it as fast as you could probably do it in a day. I'd recommend setting aside at least a couple, 3 days to get through it, because there's a lot there. But it's a very useful tool, and it's universally applicable to anything you do in business. So highly recommended. Also, our implementation services is here to help you. So you're not on your own. So I would recommend that if you feel like you're overworked, stressed, you got too much going on, and you want to have us build you a website. It's so funny. I talk to some people every now and then that more than every now and then, but you know what I'm saying, about the subject of this. And people will come and say, yeah, we spent $10,000 on our website. And I look at their website and I just think, you spent $10,000 on that? Like the kinds of things that we can do for a lot less. Ryan, for those of you who've worked with Ryan, he's got mad design skills. And when you see our new website, you'll see it's pretty awesome. So he can help with custom websites, email templates, landing pages, forms, all that stuff. He really knows his stuff. So, and very affordable. And our implementation team is really good too. That's Jensine who manages most of that. So when you work with her, she has so much experience working with so many different companies. She can help you think through those buyers' journeys and help you put all these different pieces together. And so whether it's the automation or strategy, and Alessandra is also available for marketing strategy. So we have all those things available to you, and the pricing compared to what's out there is really good. Congratulations, Madeline. I'm sure I myself have never been pregnant, but I'm sure it's a lot, and congratulations on that. So anyway, so these are all options to you that will help you with your business and help you through anything that that you might need assistance with. Generally speaking, our help is here for you if you have questions on how to do stuff. Obviously there's the walk me or the guide me things, the show me how buttons, and we've got our help pages and videos and all that. But having seasoned professionals that have done this can really help save you time and maybe give you some new ideas. So, all right, Daniel, more up-to-date eShop templates. Yeah, the website templates, we're in the process of making a couple other changes to that right now. So I think new website templates are probably later this year, I would imagine, that those will be up. So I'll let you know. So yeah, Madeline, yes, for social media integration, currently we are integrated with LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. And so on our list is Instagram. I personally am very cautious about TikTok. I understand why it's important. I don't like it for a number of reasons. But yeah, we are looking at doing that kind of integration. There are some security and privacy concerns that we need to watch for particularly with TikTok. So those integrations we are evaluating right now. Likely we'll start working on those for those two. For what we're going to be doing, we have a new network administrator that's helping us with modernizing our network and our infrastructure. So you guys will never probably talk to John. He's a great guy, but he's our network admin guy. So he's relatively new and working on some things behind the scenes for us, but great guy. We're working on modernizing our API. That's something that we've been doing for quite some time. And it seems like we're always just getting pulled. Our developers always have so much to do. But we're working on that. We're very close to the new API. It's using an open API standard for those of you who are familiar with that. So that's in the works. And related to what John's doing and with the API, we're looking at taking our system and being able to put it in private clouds in different parts of the world. We've had some struggles finding people that are qualified to help us with that, but I think we finally found the right guy. So really exciting, really excited to work with him. He's a really great guy. So yeah, and then of course the never-ending to-do list, the 200 and however many different items that are on there. Yeah, I would like to know what you guys want. And the best way to do that is to, when you log into your account, go to the help page and you'll see there's a new button there for making a suggestion. And so if you have time, if something comes up, keep in mind, we're a small business. We're always getting pulled in lots of different directions. And, it's always a challenge to try and get all that done. But we work as fast as we can for you. And, hopefully, I think that is one of our strengths. I think that we are so connected to our community, and you're dealing with real people, not some giant faceless, nameless corporation. It's we're a small business, and we're here to work directly with you and do everything we can to help you feel comfortable and work more efficiently and grow your businesses. So that's all very important. John, thank you. It was great having you join us. And Madeline, thank you very much. I appreciate your support for us. I think that does mean a lot. Every one of you means a lot to hearing how we can help you better, and letting us do that is what makes us happy. It's what we do. It's what we're here for. Really, we are here to serve you. And so everything that we can do to that end is important. So if you have questions, if you have feedback, we want to know what those are. And so, yeah, we're happy that you're part of our little family here. And like I said, if there's anything that we can do, let me know. Feel free to reach out to me. Then you can connect with me on LinkedIn. Visit our new website that should be coming out here very soon. We have the complete CRM website that we launched for our partner program. So if you want to look into, we have a new program on that. Previously, we've kind of restructured the way we do our reseller channels. So looking forward to working with you on that. And if you're interested in that, let us know. And little buddy, my dog he's asleep on the couch in the other room, but he was just over here. So he's doing well, for those of you who keep track of my fur son. So with that, I'll open it up for questions. Anything anybody wants to ask about anything, I'm happy to be here to answer any questions you got. And I do appreciate all the questions you guys asked during the course of everything. It's the things that you guys bring up really help us guide where we go with our business. I guess all the questions were asked while I was presenting. All right. Okay. Well, it looks like, oh wait, there we go. Thank you. Anonymous attendee. We're always listening and always helpful. Thank you. The Madeline, are we able to support military and government compliance? Yes. In fact, we have government clients. We work with some health departments. We work with some governments. Now there are some military and government things that are outside the scope of what we can provide, particularly if there is a requirement for FedRAMP. FedRAMP is a federal mandate of data center that our data center just does not have the ability to support. So we're a tier 2 data center. FedRAMP is a totally different kind of compliance thing that they don't support. But aside from that, we have FINRA, HIPAA, the things that for data security and privacy, we do support all of those things. Tom, your question, LinkedIn, how does it work? I was going to say, that was funny. So for the social media integration with LinkedIn, so if you go to the social page under communicate, you should be able to set up an integration there. And then when you do your emails, you can simultaneously post to LinkedIn. And we're still in the process right now. LinkedIn changed their API and greatly restricted what we could pull from them. So that's sort of been a challenge for us to be able to get more of that data. So right now it's very much like you can post on LinkedIn. And then of course there's Zapier that you could use for some of the integration there. But they really lock down what information you can pull out in terms of who is interacting with you on your company page and everything. So just keep keep on. We'll let you know how that goes as we start moving more towards trying to break through that wall. LinkedIn has always been really problematic in terms of getting access to their data. It's always been a challenge. So we can post to them, but reading data off of the feeds is a little more challenging. So stay tuned for that. Carl, thank you. Glad that you're a part of our team. I do appreciate your mission. Carl works on a really a great nonprofit, and his main thing is cleaning up our oceans and reducing plastic. And I think it's a very noble cause, and I'm glad that we can help you and what you're working on. So, and Madeline, the cloud campaign is with groups. Oh yeah, so yeah, the private cloud will be that'll be interesting. It's a little more complex in the sense of being able to take our whole instance and move to a different country or a different region of the world and operate that way is going to be. It won't be group centric. It'll be account centric. So an account will be housed in one particular place. Keep in mind that with the way that we distribute content, we use a CDN, a content delivery network, a company called Cloudflare. And what that allows us to do is whenever you send an email out, all of the images get shared on this content delivery network, so that say you're in Australia, even though the majority of our servers are in California, the image itself is going to be moved to a server in Australia. And that means that if you're in Australia, you're getting your image from an Australian server. So the return is very, very quick instead of having to come to our server in California to get that image. So we serve several terabytes every month that way. And that saves a lot of load on our side, but also increases the load speed of everything and improves user experience. So that's what Cloudflare does. So yeah, Madeline, you wouldn't notice really a big difference in California because our servers are there anyway. You might if you're in Northern California, because then the electrons don't have to go the whole length of the state to come back. But yeah, that's how we are, because our servers are down in San Diego. So all right, Grass Valley. I've been there in a while. Daniel, it's so funny you say that. The plans to add a spreadsheet to the system, there actually are. We used to have a spreadsheet program, and I just found one for CK Editor, which is the editor program that we have. So I'm going to look into that at some point soon here, because I thought when I saw that, I thought, wow, that's really cool. It's like a full spreadsheet inside of the editor box. So the same box that you use inside the wiki to edit stuff and in the email builder, we use the same editor. And I just found that there's a spreadsheet that you can put inside of that. You got to pay for it. So I just saw that they have it. So I don't know what their licensing terms are or anything like that, but I'll keep you posted on that. I just tripped over that yesterday. So kind of interesting. But I'll keep you posted if that turns into a thing. All right. Good questions. Oh, Tom, okay, you like that too. Okay, good to know. Good to know. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I'm going to stop sharing and see if I can get this thing here. All right. So Yeah, is my video still on, but it seems to have disappeared. I don't know where it is. So, all right. Oh, wait, there it is. Now I see it. All right. So thank you again. Thank you everyone for coming and for being a part of this and for being a part of our team. Your trust in us means a lot. And I appreciate every one of you. So I hope everyone had a great holiday season and a happy new year. And I hope everyone finds success in your coming year. And as much as we can be a part of that, please let us know. And if you know of anyone who you think might benefit from using GreenRope, colleagues, friends, anyone that's in business that might need a CRM or marketing automation or customer service platform, let them know about us, and we're happy to help them out. We do have a referral program, so you can get benefit from that. If you go to the account settings page, you can see that for you. So yeah, just reach out to us anytime, and have a great rest of your year. And we look forward to working with you in the future. All right. Take care, everyone.